This interview is for information only and should not be considered as investment advice or a recommendation to buy shares in the company featured. Welcome to this Stock Box interview.
Altona Rare Earths have announced positive results from the geophysical and geochemical data review of its Kamobo South copper project in Zambia. The study suggesting strong potential for iron ore copper gold, that's IOCG mineralization. Well, thank you very much for joining us today. The CEO of Altona Rare Earths, Cedric. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you, Mark. How are you?
Yes, very good. Thank you very much for joining us. So the first question I have for you here is really just a bit of more detail on the work that was done. So what work was done by Earthmaps? How detailed was it? And what was the ultimate objective really for this work?
All right, so you're talking about the Kabompo South copper project in Zambia. We've just recently announced the results of geophysical assessment, which was done using high-resolution ground geophysical data, which were captured some years ago. And we decided to give this data to a specialist in order to reprocess the data and to see how much information we can get from this data about the possible presence of copper deposits at Kabompo South. And you might remember I have been on site not very long ago. I did some observations. I saw that there was some copper occurrences being mined just outside of the license. So we wanted to understand a little bit better the context of these copper occurrences. We thought it could be sedimentary copper occurrences. So we had this data reprocessed. And the results were very interesting. Not exactly what we expected, but very interesting nonetheless, because Earthmaps' conclusion was very unambiguous. They are seeing a strong potential for IOCG copper deposits. IOCG is a specific type of copper deposits. IOCG means iron ore, copper and gold. And this type of copper deposit exists in Zambia, so it's not something new. It's associated to certain granitic intrusions called the hook granites, which don't outcrop. They are not visible at the surface on the license, but through the geophysics, Earthmaps was able to identify the presence of these intrusions and to make recommendation on how we can go ahead with exploration.
Okay, so they basically are confirming that it is an or has the viability for an IOCG deposit here. And does that give you now like a geological model to go away and work further with?
Exactly. It's very important to have a geological model to work with because that guides very precisely the way you're going to do exploration. You don't do exploration for an IOCG deposit the way you would do it for a sedimentary deposit or for a porphyry copper type of deposit.
Okay.
So now we are well guided, the potential is clear, and we are going to use geophysical and ground geophysical and geochemical methods which are suitable for this type of deposit, of copper deposit.
Yeah. Okay, good. So that defines your next stage of work, the geochemical, geophysical survey. So, I mean, you've said in the RNS that you want to rapidly define initial drilling targets. So, what's the sort of timeline looking at for this?
That is correct. So what we need to do is to do, the geophysical data that we looked at show us a map of geophysical anomalies. It's a two-dimensional map, like we are viewing things from the sky. But what we want to do now is to do cross-sections. So we have to use a different type of geophysical method. It's still a magnetometer survey, but it's done differently, and the data is processed differently through inversions. And that is going to give us some cross-sections of the areas of potential. And based on that, we will be able to target our soil geochemical samples and rapidly to get to drilling targets. So you asked me how fast we can do this. I think we should be able to drill during the first quarter of next year.
Okay. That's good to hear. That's good to hear. Okay. And I notice in the RNS as well that you talk about the viability of IOCG copper deposits has been clearly demonstrated by the discovery of the Kitumba copper deposit. So is this sort of a neighbouring deposit here that's got similarities?
Yes, so it's not exactly near the mine, it's a few hundred kilometers away. However, the geology is the same, and these intrusions, these granitic intrusions of the Hoop granite, are identical. So that deposit has been discovered already more than 10 years ago. But coincidentally, has been the construction has been launched just a few months ago, in August actually. There was a ceremony and they started the construction of the mine. So this deposit has got probable and proven reserves of 31 million tons with a little bit more than 2% copper contained. So it shows that this geological model is viable in Zambia, and it's very important for us to chase these targets and to get this drilling started.
Okay, good. It's good to hear that you're getting things going on the ground there in Zambia and are getting into drilling targets in Q1. So looking forward to seeing how those plans develop. Cedric, I know you are in London in a few weeks' time at the 121 talking to investors. I hope indeed to meet up with you then, get a sense of some of the conversations that you're having and perhaps, dive a bit more deeper if possible with you on that project. Just let's catch up if we can on Monte Muambe, of course, the flagship project here. Been some slight visits. We've seen some pictures on Twitter here, the crew there out. I think you were sampling Flur Spar. So could you just sort of tell us what you were doing on the ground at Monte Muambe?
So, this is a very nice picture with two friends from the University of Exeter. On the left-hand side, you have Sam Broom-Fendley, who is an expert in carbonatites and in rare earth deposits. And on the right-hand side, you have Jamie Church, who is a PhD student and who is going to do some work on Monte Muambe. So for us, it's very important to bring academics into our exploration program because it helps understanding how mineral deposits formed, and it helps also to guide the way they can be prospected and the way they can be exploited.
And then, so Flur Spar, Cedric, I think we're looking pictures at here now of Flur Spar itself. Could you just tell us really what Flur Spar is? What's its purpose in the world? Is it critical metals? Why are you spending time looking at it?
All right. So if you are familiar with Monte Muambe, you will know that this carbonatite has rare earths, but it also has other minerals in more or less quantities. But one of these minerals, which is quite important, is Flur Spar. And we have announced recently that we are doing a conceptual study on the possible very short-term, rapid exploitation of some very high-grade fluorspar deposits, which are located on the margin of the rare earth deposits. So we were in the field for the past 2 weeks with my team, and we sampled these high-grade fluorspar veins. So you can see on the left-hand side a typical sample of fluorspar. You can see some bands of yellow color, especially the bottom part of the picture. That's very high-grade fluorspar. But the ground mass of the rock, which is grayish pink in color, is also fluorspar. So that sample actually probably I would estimate the grade around 60% fluorspar, very high-grade material. And the picture on the right-hand side shows an example of a sample which has been crushed and which is going to be sent to the laboratory and to be sent also to potential buyers and off-takers. So once we confirm the grades and the possible viability of this type of fluorspar product, we will complete this conceptual study and see if we could get this small deposit, high grade, into production very rapidly within a time frame of potentially 1 year.
Okay, good. And just a final question, Cedric, if I can. I know the elections are going on in Mozambique at the moment. Does that affect anything? Is it very important to who gets elected and how all that process is going?
Mozambique is a country that has got very clear laws. It has a mining act, which is being implemented by the ministry. So any change of government will not affect the way the law is followed. That's for sure. But you might have heard in the news that there is a bit of commotion. There has been demonstrations over the election results. And of course, we are not here to comment on the election results, but it doesn't really affect us. As I said, I was in Mozambique the past 2 weeks on the ground. There was no impact whatsoever on our activities. The only thing is that when there are demonstrations in the street, people don't go to the office for a couple of days. So that delays a little bit the process of our mining concession, which is final steps. But the country will go through this phase. Things will go back to normal very quickly. And we hope that our mining concession the process will be finalized within the next few weeks.
Okay, good. Well, thank you very much for your time as always. Cedric Simonet, the CEO of Altona Rare Earths.
Thank you, Mark.
If you enjoyed this interview, then give us a thumbs up, a like or a retweet. Subscribe to us on YouTube or follow us on Twitter and hit that notification bell to be the first to know when we release new content. There's loads of great content on our website too, across all our programs at stockboxmedia.com. Thank you for watching.